have had such a great career. I wouldn't say a movie star career. I've had a working career. And let me tell you, that's where it's at. To work is so fun. There's something when that camera comes on, you're playing your stuff on your horse or you're on your motorcycle and stuff. It's just like being a kid again, playing cops and robbers. You're in the sandbox. Don't shoot. It's just like being a little kid. And that's kind of how I took the whole thing. But I enjoyed making money. This is fun.
Oh,
This
good.
is
I'm glad. I'm glad.
uh,
And you're in great shape, it looks like to me. Except I've got hearing aids. I'm wearing hearing aids now.
now, are we on right now?
We're rolling now. We're rolling
Okay.
now.
Well, you were talking about hearing aids. It's a shame that so many people go through that for years and years and years. You can't hear and you pretend you can't hear, so you end up saying, yeah, what, who, oh. It's a monster on your wife and your family because you can't hear. When I got these hearing aids, it's one of the greatest things that ever happened to me because I can hear what's going on. Used to watch television and not hear what's going on. Now, how we got on that subject, but I'm saying that people that fight this, don't do it. Get them because you'll be able to hear.
Well, I've got it, and then I tell my wife, I go, that refrigerator's making so much noise, I can't believe it. You know, was it always that noisy? And there's traffic noise. Did you notice that? And she goes, yeah, it's been there.
So what Western you got there?
Well, we've got Kung Fu with David Carradine, another Malibu guy.
What a wonderful guy. He's kind of a strange guy, but so am I, but we got along great. We got along just terrific. And I did a movie with his dad, the one with Stacy Keach's father, John Carradine, or what it was. He was in the movie with Stacy Keach.
Well, and he got married quite a few times, has a lot of children, and all of them are talented, it seems like. And their grandkids are talented.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit more about Kung Fu and about what a big star at the time with that show. It was a hit show, Kung Fu.
Oh, absolutely hit. Yeah. Now, the best part was I studied Kung Fu for almost 20 years. I was a grandmaster. Well, I hate to say it, but they did give me my red belt. I don't think I deserved it, but I was a black belt for many, many years. I always wanted to use the fight, like when I did Texas Walker Rangers with
Chuck Norris.
He was good too. We did some good fighting. We did some great fight scenes, and I did a couple other great fight scenes because I knew that stuff. But David and I didn't get a chance to spar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it was, that show was fun, and I'm glad I did all those shows. Yeah, I kind of forgot about some of those shows. I look at my credits, I go, "My God, you did that? When did you do that?"
Paradise. There's another one that a lot of people don't remember with Lee Horsley about taking the people hostage in a bank. You're a bad guy in that.
Oh yeah, all those shows. Streets of San Francisco was a good show.
Oh yes, it was. Yeah.
I did a show with Ada Lupino, and it was great parts. I did about 3 of those.
Yeah, you did Fugitive too. Quinn Martin. It seemed like he owned ABC at the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about not Quinn, but Quentin Tarantino and Django Unchained. What was that experience like?
I'm having lunch and the phone rings. I said, Don, Quentin Tarantino. Somebody put me on here. He said, I want you to be in my film. It's not a big part, but it's a really good part. I said, who is this? Quentin Tarantino. Well, that's kind of the end of my career, and I'm keeping it that way. I've been offered some Magnum PIs and Hawaii 5.0s here and stuff, but that was the end of the line, and I'm glad I did. That was the biggest part in the world, but it was a great part. But the thing about it, everyone saw that film. I've never known a film that everyone says, I saw you in Django. I saw you in Django. I saw you in Django. So the film made billions and millions.
Oh, it did. That was his most successful film financially, and that's what enabled him to go ahead and do his next film as a Western, The Hateful Eight, because he loves the genre. And in fact, in in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that whole middle sequence is about Lancer, the Jim Stacy TV series. What a brilliant director he is. What was he like as a director working with you?
He'd say to me, just be real. No screwing around. You play this part the way you're going to play it. You know what I mean? Like some of my bad guys would say, what did you say? You talking to me, brother? I mean, I know it's a Robert De Niro thing, but that type of attitude, you got to be really, if you're pissed, you got to be pissed here. You know what I mean? And when you get shot, I want you to hit that ground and bleed. Okay. That's the kind he was. He wanted everything is real, which his films came out pretty violent. The violent part of his films, like when you get shot, hang on, the bullets are flying, the squids are flying, your head's blowing off. When I get shot, when he comes out and shoots me in the head, I had a thing on my head that he blew on top of my head and stuff. It was so real. It was just so real. But one of the all-time great people, and we're friends today.
Oh, great. Now, when you saw that film, Django Unchained, for the first time, what was your reaction to it?
Well, I was, I mean, when you say what was my reaction to it, I enjoyed the film. It was an honor to be in the film, that's for sure. But I thought where he was going with it, he told a very interesting story there. It was quite a story with the blacks and the N-words. See, I was supposed to say the N-word. I was supposed to say that. I won't use, how would I put it? I'm supposed to rip this kid and all that stuff. And I didn't get that part. That was another part. She says, I want you to play the sheriff. I said, okay. So I didn't have to use the N-word. When I come in the bar, I said, boy, instead of get that N out of here. Yeah. And so I says, it's okay if I say boy, because there was so much of the N-word in the film. Why does everyone have to use the words? I says, okay, you and the boy, come on outside. Your party's over now. Then I come outside and obviously he shoots me. So it was a small, great part.
Yeah. You're right, I think, to say this will be my last role because it is such a wonderful film. And like you said, everybody saw it. When Randolph Scott did Peckinpah's Ride the High Country, he says, I'm done, I'm retiring. This is the perfect one to end on. And he never did another movie after that. Have you seen Peckinpah's Ride the High Country?
Oh, of course, it's terrific.
Yeah.
But I figured I'm 79 years old. I broke my leg last year, and that was really tough. I took a fall and broke my leg. I've never fallen in my life. I've studied martial arts all my life. For some reason, I fell and broke my leg, and that kind of put a little damper on things. But I feel I love Hawaii, but I don't want to leave Hawaii, see. I love it here so much. I live in Hawaii Kai, and I overlook the backside of Diamond Head, and the Ko'olau Mountains out of my bedroom is like 1,000 feet high, and the Pacific Ocean's out here with the palm trees. And at night, the moon comes up over Cocoa Head on this side, and in the evening, the sun sets over the Ko'olaus over here. And so it's just so hard for me to leave this place. I'm sure if Clinton called me, I would go. There's no question about it. I told Terry that. But there's been a lot of shows. They want me to come in the mainland and do this and that. And I said, well, I kind of like what I'm doing. That's where I'm at now.
Well, I'm sure glad you decided to say yes to our conversation here, Don, because it's not really an interview. What we do is we just talk about the things that we love, and it's a lot of Westerns and a lot of wonderful parts that you've played. Of all of them, of all of the films that you've been in, is there one that just sticks out and you say, this is it. This is the one.
You know what sticks out? How many shows that I was invited back to do this, the director, Don Siegel. Some directors, I did 2 or 3 shows with some of those directors. And that's a privilege and an honor to be an actor when you get invited back. Clint Eastwood invited me back for Joe Kidd right after Cougar's Bluff and stuff. And, it's the amount of work I did. They weren't all great. Some of them I needed the money, to tell you the truth. Some of them I needed the money because we weren't making that much money in those days. And I was living pretty good. I was living pretty good. Of course, living in Malibu wasn't cheap either. But I think the thing is how many films I did and how much TV we did. I mean, we did over 100 TV shows and over 200 television shows. And it was because I loved the work. The work was so important to me because when I wasn't working, I was drinking. And so work was real good.
I know what I want to ask you about is you did a biker film with Tyne Daly and Luke Askew called Angel Unchained, where the heroes are the bikers, which is so different for those films of that era.
Do you know that film still plays? It still plays. I did that with the Hells Angels.
Mhm.
And I started hanging around with the Hells Angels at night. And let me tell you, that was an experience because I rode with the Hells Angels in front with 90 guys at night. And we were stoned, man. We were all stoned. We were in Arizona. I had this amazing. I had a good bike in Cougar's Bluff, but this was a hog, and it was the Cougar's Bluff was a Triumph, and Angel Unchained was that was the hog. Yeah, that was the hog at Angel Unchained. But riding with the Hells Angels was quite an experience. Let me tell you, it was something I tell you the truth, we all got along very well. Because I grew up on the beach and stuff. Most of my friends were kind of a little rowdy.
Riding with them at night, like you said, how wild it would get. I mean, would they start to do tricks on their bike?
Oh, no. You don't do too many tricks when you're 20, 30 guys in a pack. You got to pay attention. Because if someone goes down in front of you, they're all going down. Mm-hmm. So you got to pay attention. And mostly we were pretty stoned at the time, too. So you're just kind of concentrating on your riding, no tricks and wheelies and all that. These are big hogs. Mm-hmm. That's more dirt bikes and the wheelies and all this stuff. But these Hells Angels, their bikes are more like big Cadillacs. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? They're limousine kind of guys. Yeah, that bike to them is the world, the whole world. And the mamas were nice gals, too.
Tyne Daly in that film with you, that was before she was in Cagney and Lacey, and what a good actress she is too. What was she like at that stage in her career?
Some of these gals, you can't say enough about how great these gals were, how nice they were, and how pretty they were, and I fortunately got along with a lot of people. I know when I came to the set, there was no time for any kind of politics and all that crap. We went and did our work. And then at night we'd hang out, and I was on location a lot. Most of my films were done in many, many, many different places, but Gunsmoke and all that were done in Arizona at Tucson, Arizona, I think. And they had a cowboy town there, and it was just incredible. Even that set where, there's a whole bunch of those. Yeah, I got carried away.
There in Old Tucson, where you did Gunsmoke, that's where they shot John Wayne's Rio Bravo and so many other great Westerns, too.
Many there. You
came along a little bit too late to have worked with John Wayne, but what did you think of the John Wayne movies?
Well, first of all, I love John Wayne, but one of my favorite Western, High Noon. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that film. Gary Cooper with that film it was just brilliant. Yeah. Just brilliant. When he threw his badge on the ground and said, go get the gig, I'm going to leave this town. And when he got in the buggy and left with his lady and stuff, and he was looking for the people in the gunfight and stuff, and the gunfight, the OK Corral. I mean, there were some good Westerns, and Clint Eastwood spaghetti Westerns and stuff like that.
Now, were you ever offered a spaghetti Western other than Tarantino's Django Unchained when all those films were being shot over in Spain?
Well, all those were basically before Django, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. And I was doing series. I was doing the Mike Hammer series, and then I did Gidget. That was a great series because I got to surf. Yeah. But I was doing my own stuff then. I was working on my own stuff, like Mike Hammer we did for 3 or 4 years. That was like in the middle of a very major part of career. You do a movie, you do Mike Hammer come back and stuff. But just wonderful days, especially Universal days and Warner Brothers, and MGM was a lot of fun too.
I'm happy that you're our guest, Don, and that you're so comfortable there and back in Hawaii. It seems like that's where you belong.
It's working out pretty good.
Yeah, I think I told you my brother lives in Maui, and he.
Oh, Maui no Kahoi.
Yeah, well, he loves it. He's got a plane, and he went to the University of Hawaii there in Honolulu and ended up staying. He says, this is paradise. I'm not going anywhere. He moved from Honolulu over to Maui because he says there's just too many people, on that island.
Tell him I went to Kaimuki High School. I was the only haole in the whole school. what saved my life, because it was a pretty rough school, I could play the bongos. So when I would play the bongos, I got identified as, oh, that's taka-tak, taka-tak, taka-tak. And it got me through high school without getting murdered. Because it was mostly Hawaiian kids, Filipino kids, Hawaiian kids, Japanese, Chinese, Korean. Oh, it's cool. Kanmuki.
So is that musical ability from your mother, do you think, playing the bongos?
Whatever it was, I was a drummer. Did you see the Buddy Holly story?
Oh, you played the drums in that. You were so good.
Oh, that's me. That was me playing. That was us playing. We played that music live. That was one of my favorite films. Talk about a favorite.
What a terrific movie that was.
Well, we played the music live, which was a great experience to play that music live. And Gary is my good friend, and Charlie Mutton Smith was real good in that film too.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that film. I just love that film. Of course, growing up with rock and roll, I'm a rock and roller, man,
Yeah.
And to play those parts was just great. And I had to play the drums, of course, to play the parts. So to be able to play, it's just another great experience in life. It's like when you were a surfer, you met Gunsmoke when you were a kid, and all of a sudden you're doing the Gunsmoke. You're playing drums all your life when you're a kid on the beach, and all of a sudden you're playing a great movie and playing the drums. It's nice when those things come your way that you can do, because most people say, I know you weren't acting playing the drums, you were playing the drums, and you got that right. But I'm a percussionist. I mostly play bongos and congos. I play with Melvin lead. I sit in with the best of the best over here. We have some great spots over here, some great entertainment over here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, in the Buddy Holly story, that movie was such a monster hit, and Gary got a Best Actor nomination and everything. I mean, it was.
Al Pacino won for Dog Day Afternoon. He had pretty good competition, but Gary was nominated for Academy Award on that film.
Mm-hmm.
That film cost maybe $1.5 million. It made $500 million.
That's a nice return.
and they offered all of us a piece of the action. I said, "Oh no, I need the money."
Oh.
And it could have been like a nickel a shot or something. I would have been glad about it. But we those days, back in the day, yeah.
Let's talk just a second more then about Joe Kidd, because Joe Kidd is a nice transition film too for Clint. That and Coogan's Bluff, and you became friends with him. Did you ever hang out with Clint?
Clint wasn't a hangout guy. Clint was a loner.
Mm-hmm.
Clint was a loner, and we hung out after. When we were up in Bishop, California, I think where it was. We stayed in this place that it was such an old hotel that you could hear everybody in their other rooms. And these were pretty rough cowboys, the extras and the Wranglers and stuff. And in the morning, oh my God, everybody trying to get to work with the hangovers and stuff because those people drank a lot. But it was such a great experience being up there. And there was like this old cowboy town. It was up in Bishop, California. And it was nice. I mean, it was great. But with Paul Coslow, we hung out with Paul Coslow and Robert Duvall and I. Robert Duvall and I started playing tennis when we were up there. I got into playing tennis up there. It was an old dirt lot with a chain across it. And that was the tennis court that went bad. It was across the street from the hotel. We'd go over there and play tennis and stuff like that. But Robert Duvall was a great guy, and Joe Coslow, and who else was John Saxon, who was another neighbor of mine.
John Saxon was fabulous in that.
We were buddy in those days. But I'll tell you the truth, a lot of actors don't hang out. A lot of actors are kind of, some of your best friends are not the actors you've worked with. You kind of do your gig, you become great friends, and you kind of go your way. You know what I mean? I like choir boys. Lou Gossett was a dear friend of mine, and it just went on and on. But you kind of lose track of everybody, especially being in Hawaii now. I've kind of moved away from the scene. But we all keep in touch somehow, like Stacy and I, we keep in touch and all those good things. He lives out in Malibu too.
Well, he'd be a great guest too. He did a lot of Westerns. Stacy did.
You would love Stacy Keach. Get him on the show. He'll do the show. He's out in Malibu.
I'll get the info from you because, I've had Walter Hill on, who directed The Long Riders with him, and Bobby Carradine talking about that film and about how he and his brother put the whole thing together to do the Frank and Jesse James. I like that movie a lot too.
Yeah, that was a fine movie. It was a fine movie, yeah. So that's where I'm at, and living here in Hawaii now. And I'm basically retired. I'm basically retired. I enjoy being retired too. And that broken leg was very, very hard on me. Oh, just really tough times. I'm just took about 2 years to really get over it. But I swim and I go to the gym. I swim almost 3, 4 days a week. I have this monster Olympic pool where I live. And it's nice to get back and stay in shape because I'm 79 years old. And the virus here has been terrible.
Oh, it's been terrible everywhere.
Oh, sometimes 2 or 3 thousand people. We only have so many million people here, and 200 or 300,000 people get it. You go, whoa, how many people live here? So I'm hoping for the great days to come and get rid of this and to do our best. And here we are, and I'm very happy. I have a wife. My wife there's nobody like my wife. My wife is one of the top gals. She saved my life too. That talk about what happened with the booze and the cocaine, all that stuff, because of my wife. I stopped when I met Terry. She's a stand-up, great gal. She's just computer savvy and stuff. So we're real partners. We're real partners. And I'm in the stock market now.
And I want to thank her for helping us set this Zoom up too, because we couldn't have done it. You and I couldn't have done it by ourselves. I had my son, RJ, help, and you had Terry.
I'm pretty hip, but when it comes to the computer, I kind of know to push this button and stuff because I'm in the stock market, so I pay attention to the stock market. I've been in the stock market for 20 years. Many people want me to write a book, and it's called Keepers of the Sand. I would start with being on Beach Boy because I grew up on Waikiki Beach, surfing and paddling canoe and stuff like that. And Howie Horowitz came along and said, "Hey, kid, you want to be in the movies?" And from that day on, I went to Universal. I stayed at Universal for years. They put me on a contract. Dick Clayton was my agent, a fabulous agent. And I have had such a great career. I wouldn't say movie star career. I've had a working career. And let me tell you, that's where it's at. To work is so fun. There's something when that camera comes on, you're playing your stuff on your horse or you're on your motorcycle and stuff. It's just like being a kid again, playing cops and robbers. You're in the sandbox. Don't shoot. It's just like being a little kid. And that's kind of how I took the whole thing. But I enjoyed making money. I like to work for money also. So when I worked.
Yeah. Well, you got to write your book then, and we'll have you back on.
Yeah, because many people want me to, I get to read scripts every single day. Don, could you do this? Could you fly to Vegas and kind of go do a couple of things? I said, brother, well, there's no money involved. I said, well, call me later. Call me later.
Thank you, and aloha.
Aloha, ahui ho. Ahui ho means I'll see you down the road.
All right, I love it.
Ahui ho.
I love it. Okay, we're done. How about that?
Aloha, brother.